What's up everybody, I'm Seth Fowler and today I'm counting down the top 10 best hyped up low top sneakers of 2019 so far. As I'm sure you already know, we just had a release of one of the most hyped up low top sneakers of the last year, the Travis Scott Air Jordan 1 Lows, and because of that I felt like now would be a good time to go over this sort of list. Obviously it's not the end of the year, so no, this is not an end of the year list. I just felt like now would be a good time because low top sneakers and low top Air Jordan 1s in particular are really in the spotlight. Also, who doesn't like a list of fire sneakers? Of course, because this is a 2019 list, only shoes that released this year are on the list. Not only that, but the shoes that I chose to be on this list were picked because they were either extremely popular, they changed up sneaker culture in some way, they have some sort of new technology, or there's just something notable or dope about them. As we go through this list, make sure to comment your top 10 list in the comment section down below because I would love to know what sneakers you like the best. But really quick, before we jump into the top 10 list, if you haven't already entered the green Fear of God 1 giveaway that I'm doing, make sure to do that because it ends on August 1st. Entering the giveaway is really easy. All you have to do is subscribe to my channel down below, follow me on both Instagram and on Twitter at @RealSethFowler, and then go back to the original video where this giveaway was first announced, which was the Chicago Complex Con vlog, comment your size, where you're from, and the best social media handle to reach you at. And that's it, you're done. And of course, all the links that you need to enter the giveaway are in the description below. But without further ado, let's jump right into the list. Number 10, the Ultra Boost Bape Camo. This shoe released back in February in two different colorways. There was a black and gray variant and the green and brown variant, which is by far the more popular of the two because it's the more classic Bape colorway. A few years back, Adidas and Bape had actually collaborated on a pair of NMDs, which I'm sure a lot of you all remember, and the release for that was absolutely insane. Pairs got backdoored like crazy, pairs were going for over $1,200, it was a nuts release. And at the time, even at the peak of NMD popularity, that collaboration was probably one of the most coveted. Now obviously a few years later, the Adidas Boost hype has died down a little bit, but this was still a pretty hyped up collaboration. At the time of release, pairs were selling between $300 and $400, but I can only imagine what they would sell for if they had released back when Ultra Boosts were at the peak of their popularity. I really enjoyed this collaboration because instead of printing on a Bape pattern like they did with the NMDs, they actually stitched the pattern into the prime knit, which was a really cool effect. The lines and details of the pattern obviously weren't as sharp as they were when they were printed because you can't really make something look that sharp when it's knitted, but it still had a very cool look, and I think overall the aesthetic was really nice. Since the beginning of my channel, I've been a huge proponent of the Ultra Boost silhouette. I think it's one of the most comfortable shoes ever made, and it's one of the best looking shoes ever made. And I think this collaboration, if done a couple years earlier, would have been one of the most popular Ultra Boost collaborations ever. But unfortunately, the time frame of the drop didn't capitalize on the Ultra Boost hype, and for that reason, it wasn't one of the most sought after shoes, especially not this year. That said, I think it's an awesome collaboration on an awesome shoe, and I'm not even really a Bape fan. I just think the way that they implemented the Bape pattern on the sneaker was dope. Number 9, the OffWhite Air Max 90. Obviously, this release wasn't the first time that an OffWhite Air Max 90 had dropped. However, this time around they released the shoe in two different colorways that I actually think were better than the original. You had a primarily black colorway, which I actually own and picked up in the Philippines, and then there was also a Desert Ore colorway which had a contrasting orange swoosh. And out of the two different colorways, I think the Desert Ore was probably my favorite because even though it wasn't as wearable, it was a little bit more unique. I also don't think they could have picked a much better Air Max silhouette to do this collaboration on. I think the Air Max 90 is one of the most iconic Air Max silhouettes and is also one of the most comfortable. My favorite Air Max 90 of all time is the Infrareds, which I think is a lot of people's favorites because it's like the OG colorway. But these colorways also look pretty good as well and are definitely eye-catching, which I feel like is something that you want if you're spending $500 on a pair of Off-White Nikes. Even though we've already seen these colorways on the Off-White Blazers from last year, and even though this isn't a new silhouette or new collaboration, I think these colorways actually do it better than the original, and for that reason, they're on this list. Number 8, the Nike SB Dunk Low Panda Pigeon. The original Staple Pigeon Dunk is one of the most sought after and hard to find dunks ever made, and it goes for an insane amount of money. I'm actually a huge fan of Jeff Staple and the Staple brand, and I wear a lot of their stuff, but I still have yet to be able to buy a pair of Staple Dunks, and it's not for lack of trying. A year ago, Jeff Staple posted some images of a sample Staple Pigeon Dunk that he was working on, a shoe that never actually seemed to make it to production. This was also around the time he was dropping the all-black Staple Pigeon Dunk. And the reception to the image of this sample that he had posted was overwhelmingly positive, so much so that he actually decided to release the sneaker for real. And this shoe is now known as the Panda Pigeon Dunk because of its black and white upper. One of my favorite details on the shoe is the newspaper article from the original Pigeon release printed on the outsole of the shoe. He also hit a little callback to the fact that the original shoe was a sample by writing sample on the sock liner of the shoe and then crossing out certain letters to make it say staple. Overall, the attention to detail on this sneaker is off the charts, and I love the way the shoe looks. Now that we're starting to have sort of a dunk renaissance, it's kind of nice to see collaborations like this hit the market. Number 7, the black Yeezy Boost 350 V2. Other than a Turtle Dove 350 V2, this all black colorway is probably the most anticipated colorway ever for a pair of 350 V2s. Taking some design inspiration from the Pirate Black V1s, the 350 V2 blacks also feature red stitching on the pull tab. In my opinion, this is probably the cleanest 350 V2 colorway to ever release, and you can see how popular it is by looking at resale prices. As we've seen over the last year, Yeezy prices have been dropping pretty significantly because I think everyone's just sick and tired of 350 V2s. But this triple black pair really seems to have turned things around and have gotten people excited about Yeezy 350s again. The shoe features the same prime knit pattern as the static 350 V2s and also features the semi-translucent stripe on the lateral side. But I mean, that's about it. The shoe remains relatively unchanged from any of the previous 350 V2s, and the only reason this shoe is as popular as it is because of its all black colorway. Number 6, the David Bowie Vans Old School. The Vans Old School has been one of the most popular sneaker silhouettes for decades, so it only makes sense that this was a shoe that was chosen for David Bowie's Aladdin Sane collaboration. As the name would suggest, this shoe was inspired by the late David Bowie's Aladdin Sane album cover. The album cover is David Bowie's face front and center with a blue and red lightning bolt painted across it, which is the detail that they used to inspire this colorway. The shoe comes in a cream or off-white to sort of mimic David Bowie's skin tone, and then also has a lightning bolt painted across the midfoot in blue and red. This shoe might be one of my favorite Vans collaborations of all time. It's just done so tastefully, and I just love the way it looks. I was never really a huge David Bowie fan myself, but I did respect his work. My fiance absolutely loves him, so she'd probably like these shoes. Maybe I should get them for her actually. But as a big fan of the Vans Old School, I absolutely love this sneaker. The materials on this shoe also look like they've been upgraded as well. It looks like they're using a more premium suede and leather on the upper, which I think was a nice touch. Overall, an awesome Vans collaboration. Number 5, the Travis Scott Air Jordan 1 Lows. Let me start this off by saying I'm still a little bit salty that Nike didn't process my order. I won the draw and then my payment didn't go through, which is kind of BS because my payment always goes through and I haven't changed it. I'm definitely not going to pay resale for this shoe because I just don't like the shoe that much, at least not $1,000 much. Maybe if like I work with a brand and they send it to me, great. But other than that, I'm just letting this one go. I just don't think this shoe looks nearly as good as the high top Travis Scott Jordan 1s. I don't like the reversed color blocking. I don't really love lows. It's just kind of like, But this shoe is on the list, and the reason for that is because it's probably the most popular low-top Air Jordan 1 of all time. Even though I don't love the color blocking on this shoe, I still love the backwards Nike swoosh. I think that was an awesome detail. And overall, it's not a bad looking shoe. It's just not a $1,000 shoe, you know what I mean? That being said, it is solely responsible for the popularity of the Air Jordan 1 over the last couple weeks, so for that reason, it deserves to be on the list. I actually have really liked almost all of Travis Scott's Nike and Air Jordan collaborations, and I'm excited to see what he does in the future. I just don't think this one is the best one. Number 4, the OffWhite Air Force 1 Low MCA. I've always been a sucker for off-white sneakers. I think almost all of the shoes that Virgil Abloh has done with Nike have been knocked out of the park. And these off-white MCA AF1s are no exception. I think he did a great job with this shoe. Now to be fair, he didn't do that much other than painting the shoe blue and adding a silver Nike swoosh and some text, because this shoe isn't really a deconstructed Air Force 1 like the other off-white Air Force 1s. I hate to say it, it's just kind of a blue Air Force 1, and even Virgil Abloh alluded to that by saying in an Instagram post you could just go to Home Depot, buy some blue paint, and paint an Air Force 1 Low blue, and you pretty much have the same sneaker. However, I do think there is something to be said about the leather quality on this sneaker. I think they used a much more premium leather, and consequently, it feels more premium and just looks really good. I also think the details that Virgil added, like the metallic Nike swoosh and the text on the medial side of the shoe, really make this sneaker pop, and of course, the blue color. It's a great looking shade of blue. But let's be honest, the real reason this shoe is so popular is because of its extremely limited availability. It's almost impossible to get, and as of right now has only released near the MCA in Chicago. I mean, it's a sick looking pair of shoes, and if I could afford a $2,000 pair of shoes, I would grab it. But I can't, and I don't think it's getting much of a wider release, so for that reason, I'm just gonna have to let this one go. If you weren't aware, the MCA stands for the Museum of Contemporary Art in Chicago, and the reason that he's releasing a shoe with the Museum of Contemporary Art is because he actually has an exhibition there right now. Virgil actually did something similar in New York at the MoMA, where he released a very similar Air Force 1 Low, except instead of being in blue, it was in black. Number 3, the Nike Adapt BB. For some reason, I keep forgetting that this shoe released this year, but it released around All-Star Weekend, and that wasn't that long ago. I don't know why I can't remember that. The Nike Adapt BB is the first reasonably priced self-lacing sneaker that Nike has ever dropped. And that's not the craziest part. The craziest part is that this is a basketball performance shoe. This is a shoe that NBA players play in. It has a little motor and battery in the midsole, and somehow under the pressure of a huge NBA player landing on it multiple times per night, it doesn't break. In my opinion, that's insane engineering. Nike did a great job with that. The Nike Adapt BB might not be the most exciting or interesting looking shoe in the world, but the fact that it's actually a self-lacing sneaker that you can go out to the store and buy, or at least whenever it's in stock, is pretty cool. The shoe features Nike's Fit Adapt system, which can be controlled through an app on your phone, or when you step into the shoe, it automatically tightens. It's a surprisingly comfortable shoe as well, and I've actually found myself wearing it off court a lot. The reason this shoe is so high on the list is because it fulfills a lot of people's childhood dreams. The dream of being able to step into a shoe and it lacing around your foot. That's such a crazy thought, and the fact that Nike turned that into a reality and something that you can actually buy is crazy. No, the Nike Adapt BB might not be perfect, but I'm really excited to see what Nike does in the future with this new technology. Number 2, the Air Max 1 Susan Missing Link. Nike founder Phil Knight's son Travis owns animation studio Laika, which is the studio that actually created the movie Missing Link. The reason I put this shoe on the list is because I feel like this collaboration is one of the best Air Max 1 collaborations in recent memory. I think the way that they put it together is brilliant. I haven't seen Missing Link, I don't know the story behind the movie, I don't know really anything about the characters, but I know that I really like the way this sneaker looks. The shoe features design elements from the main character's outfit, like the plaid detailing on the toe and the heel. It also features green on the midfoot and a brown midsole. There's something rustic yet playful about this sneaker that really draws me to it, and I think it's because it's one of the most interesting collabs in a while. It's just done so well. The warm color palette made up of the oranges and yellows and greens and browns that make up this shoe really go together nicely. And that plaid detailing really makes the shoe pop and stand out, and I really like that about it. Not only that, but the materials used on this shoe are excellent. You've got a really premium suede on the heel, you've got some nice fabric materials to mimic the fabric used on the main character's clothing, and you've also got an interesting, what looks to be leather midsole. Overall, out of all the Laika Animation Studio collaborations that have taken place with Nike, I think this one's my favorite. Number 1, the Sakai Nike LD Waffle. Sakai is a Japanese designer who has created this collaboration by mashing 2 different silhouettes together. On the Sakai Blazers, as the name would suggest, you've got the Blazers mashed in with the Dunks, and then on the Sakai LD Waffles, you have the LDVs and the Waffle soles. What I love most about this collaboration is the mashup of the 2 different silhouettes and how those 2 silhouettes, although different, look really great together. The LD Waffle has a pretty thin mesh upper, but even though it is thin, it doesn't feel cheap. You also have overlapping leather panels from each of the shoes being mashed together, and of course an overlapping Nike swoosh, which I think is my favorite detail on the shoe. However, the 2 most iconic details on the shoe are probably the double tongues or the double midsole, which features one midsole that kind of juts out over top of the other. The Sakai Nike LD Waffle is a super out there and unique looking sneaker, and I love the way it looks. One of my favorite parts about this collaboration is that it's coming out in so many different colorways, and all the colorways look really good. I know this might sound a little bit boring, but I think my favorite colorway out of the group is the white and gray colorway, because it still has that unique aesthetic, but it doesn't hit you in the face with bright colors. In my opinion, the Sakai Nike LD Waffle is a very strong contender for sneaker of the year and is absolutely at the top of this list. But that pretty much wraps up the list for today. Now I would love to know your thoughts on this list and which shoes you think deserve to be on the list and which ones you think don't. So make sure to leave those comments in the comment section down below. Don't forget to enter the Fear of God 1 giveaway. Of course, the links to do so are in the description below. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.